What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to episode 12 of the Max Manus Pod. I am so excited to bring you guys today's episode, and I feel like I say that every single episode, but for those of you who are pitching nerds in particular, I'm going to give you a heads up in advance. Stick around for the second half of this episode, because the newest Yankees trade acquisition, Ryan Weathers, was kind enough during a crazy time in his life to take like an hour out of his day to join me, and we started off kind of just talking about himself and his background and what it's going to be like to be a Yankee and the things that are exciting him about that. And then in the second half of the episode, we just got super in-depth pitching talk. And I was kind of sitting there just like letting him take the wheel because my goodness, that dude, we could have gone on for hours and hours and hours. The passion that dude has about pitching, growing up in a pitching household, I'm sure helps with his dad. And we touched on that a little bit too, like the differences in him having to teach his dad about the modern day data and analytics and technology and the learning curve that came with that. Super smart, super funny, super honest, like really opened up about some of his struggles in the past in San Diego and getting to Miami and finding to stay healthy and what it was like when he kind of had to invent himself as a pitcher a little bit. I was super pumped with how it came out. I also want to thank you guys. The last episode with Jake did super well, and I know a lot of you guys who are John Boy Media fans really appreciated that. I'll drop a little teaser. I certainly have a couple more John Boy Media guests in the chamber that I want to get out before the season starts, so that's very much on the periphery and something that I'm really looking forward to. But in the meantime, man, like it's another one of those moments that kind of makes me pause and reflect to where I was at a few years ago in high school. And if you had told me at that time, like, dude, give it a few years and you're going to be interviewing a Yankees pitcher like 2 days after they trade for him and putting it out on your podcast, would have been something that would have been pretty hard for me to comprehend. So I really appreciate you guys checking out the episode. I hope you all enjoyed as much as I did. And without further ado, let's get into the episode. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Max Manus Pod. Today's guest is somebody who I'm guessing has had a pretty crazy week. He can tell us himself, but it's been a wild week for this guy, so I really appreciate him taking some time out of his day to talk to me. Ryan Weathers, the newest New York Yankee. What's going on, man?
No, man, just I'm excited. Been a cool experience the last couple of days. All the Yankees people, man, all the fans have showed me a lot of love, so I'm excited.
Yeah, awesome, dude. I'm glad to hear it. I'll start you off with the question that I like to start off all our guests with. Ryan Weathers, give me the origin story. Why do you love baseball?
I mean, I didn't really have an option. My pops played for a while, so as soon as I was able to stand and hold a bat or a ball, I was always at the field. But no, I mean, I love the game. When I got traded to the Marlins, it remade me love the game. And dude, I'm so excited for this new opportunity, and I can't wait to get going.
Awesome, dude. I'm glad to hear it. And yeah, I was like, the fact that that's the first question I ask everybody, like everybody kind of has their own way to go with it. But I was like, when you're talking to a son of a former big leaguer, I feel like he's going to be like, all right, I was kind of born into this.
For sure.
So I know you spoke to the media a little bit today, but there's one thing I want to go a little bit deeper on. You were getting out of the sauna when you found out that you were getting traded.
Yeah. Dude, no, so my wife got me like I'm on red light therapy, like doing whatever I can do to be healthy, to stay healthy. So like I just finished off my 30-minute session. I'm sweating bombs, like getting out of the sauna. And as soon as I get out of the sauna, like my phone's ringing. I'm like, you're gonna have to give me a towel. Like my hands are soaking wet, and like, and sure enough, like I was getting traded. So it was a funny story for sure.
That's awesome. So Bendix is the first guy that calls you, and then some Yankees guys calls you, I'm assuming. Sure. Yeah. So how'd that go? What did they tell you?
Oh, it was great. To be honest, like the Marlins, man, when I got traded to them back in 23, I had not been throwing the ball well with San Diego. I always look back on, I learned a lot when I was in San Diego, man. That was when I got kicked down and I wasn't pitching well. I was in AAA not pitching well, and then, kind of had a rough 23 at the big league level too. And, the Marlins were a team that's let's take a chance on this guy. Let's get him here. At that point, they're still obviously really good at developing pitching. And at that point, they were, they had Sandy, they had Cabrera, they had Yuri, like guys that had developed. And some of my buddies that have been there. And, man, they gave me a chance. They gave me a real shot in the big leagues. And, it was a tough phone call. That org means a lot to me. I loved every second I was there. But man, this is like an exciting opportunity. Like I'm getting to play for the freaking New York Yankees, man. Every movie, it's about the Yankees. I've been to overseas and there's Yankees gear in Italy, there's Yankees gear in Greece. And it's it's a different, it's a different brand. It's like, it holds a lot of weight, and man, I'm excited to get going.
Yeah, I was gonna say one of the first ways I was introduced to you was I was in attendance on that freezing cold night in April a couple years ago when you were dicing up the Yankees. So I guess, do you want to apologize now that you're a Yankee to us Yankees fans that had to sit through the cold that night while you were shutting us down? Because that was not a
Man,
fun night
I
for
just
us.
I just hope I can keep throwing up zeros. That's all I want to do.
Okay, we'll take that answer. What did Boone and Cashman and anyone else that you've spoken to, what did they have to say to you when you first got the call?
Oh man, they're just excited. They're welcoming me to the Yankees. I've heard nothing but good things about both of them, and they're very cordial to me and welcome me to the Yankees. And yeah, I mean that was just really it. Obviously, it's really fresh and really new. So welcome me to the Yankees, and I'm excited to be here. They're excited for me to be here, and I just hope I can help win ball games.
Yeah, I know you spoke a little bit earlier today about how they told you some things about how they might want to switch up your pitch mix a little bit. And that's something that I saw you've actually already done a little bit. Like you introduced a
Mm.
sweeper to your arsenal a couple years ago, and your slider and fastball usage has kind of been like a year to year thing. So I guess talk to me about in the past, what were the types of tweaks you made? And were those the types of things that were based on like data? You said that like the Marlins have become a really good organization when it comes to developing young pitching. So is that the type of thing that they come to you with? Is it more like feel on your end? And what have the Yankees told you about what they
Yeah.
might want to do with you?
I think like the where my career started switching a little bit, and like I still think that there's like I still have a chance to continue to grow and develop, especially with even when I was in San Diego, I had Joe Musgrove, I had Yu Darvish, and Blake Snell to really help me. But I was so young, it was I didn't really have a changeup and didn't really have a good breaking ball, and I was just kind of trying to figure out like my I was literally just swimming with one arm in the big leagues, trying to just stay afloat. And then when I went to the Marlins, like, we got David Robertson when I was there. We had Sandy and Cabby, and all these guys had really good changeups. So they really helped me with my changeup in the back half of 23. And then I ended up just purchasing a TrackMan in the offseason of 23. And it's like, if I'm going to truly figure out how to develop, it's really hard to develop during the season because you're just fighting and surviving. It's hard to develop when you're trying to face a big time lineup. So I got, TrackMan in the offseason of 23. And dude, I just had one bullpen where I like found a changeup and I'm like, oh, that's real. Like that's a real changeup. And then ever since then, like, it's really, I have a lot of confidence in that pitch. And I want to pour more confidence into my breaking ball that I have in my changeup. I think I have a really good breaking ball. I just have to get more comfortable using it in situations that I don't really want to use it in. I think it's a really good pitch that I should be able to use more.
Yeah, that's awesome, dude. It sounds like you've become a lot smarter of a pitcher as you've gotten older because we could talk about, but there's like a meme that goes around Twitter all the time with your stats in high school where your senior you put up a .09 ERA and it's like, how do you even do that? So was that the type of, when you go from that level of success to, like you said, like suddenly you find yourself in San Diego and it's like, hey man, like it's tough out here. It's the big leagues. These are
For
like
sure.
big league hitters. When you had to face adversity and kind of like tinker with things, was that something that you lean on your dad for help with? Is that something that you can talk to? Like you said, like you've had the privilege of playing with a lot of really good pitchers in a pretty
Mhm.
short big league career so far.
Mhm. I mean, at the end of the day, like, I had a pops that played the game for a while. All those guys that I've been around have been through the same stuff. And it's like, you can talk about it all day long, but until like you get that taste of adversity yourself and you physically have to pick yourself up off the ground and get back on the mat and go to war, it's like, you really learn a lot about yourself. And, when I was in that like little lull from like 2022 to 2023, trying to really find my footing, in 23, I'm starting to really pitch well in AAA, but I can't really find my footing in the big leagues. And then I get traded to the Marlins and don't have a really good outing when my first outing back, so I didn't really pitch for like 13 days. And you just kind of sitting there evaluating, you're like, am I cut out to be at this level? You really start questioning like what you're doing. Like, am I doing my bullpens properly? Like now you're on the mound like self-doubting. And when I got that little taste of success in 2024, my pitching coach at the time sat me down and just pretty much like sat there and was like, dude, when are you going to grow up and throw the ball over the plate? And I was like, all right. And like, you learn, like you have to eat your pride a little bit and you have to pick stuff up and learn and just roll with it. And so, that's why I'm really excited here is, learn from guys like Freed and Cole and Rodon, and Warren, like all these guys that all these arms, and Gill, like I mean, Gill's got Rookie of the Year, like all these guys that have really good arms. It's like, you just start picking and choosing, and we're all in this together, like trying to win games for the Yankees. And so I'm excited and honored that this organization wants me to put those pinstripes on, because it's like it's a different honor, it's a high honor, it's it's a 27-time world champion organization, and it's like it's so sick that a team like that even wants to trade for you to pitch for their ball club. Like, it's really cool.
Yeah, you talk about that feeling of being like, damn, like these guys actually want me. Like I had Dean Kramer on back in July, and he was traded for Manny Machado like 8-9 years ago when he was like a pretty low level prospect and not a huge name. And I asked him, like, was that cool when you got traded for Manny Machado? He was like, honestly, the first thing I kind of wondered was just like, why me? Like, why does this organization want me? Like, at the time, he wasn't a huge name prospect or anything like that. So that's got to be a pretty cool feeling to be like, oh, wow, like the New York Yankees, who, like you said, they've got Cole, Fried, Rodon. Like, they could kind of roll out the guys they have right now as their rotation and be set up better than a lot of other MLB teams. But the fact that they saw something in you that they wanted to go out and grab you, got to be a pretty cool feeling.
For sure.
And also the fact that it's a pretty unique rotation, like you said, in that there's not a lot of teams that have like quite that blend of really established big league veterans. Like, there's 3 dudes in that rotation that have gotten $100+ million contracts, but then there's also a lot of younger guys that are kind of coming up, and you're like, that must be a really cool feeling for you to be able to be like, oh, I'm going to have dudes that are like kind of in a similar position that I'm at, but we can also look at these dudes and get some mentoring from them. And that's not even getting into Matt Blake and all the pitching science people that they have. Has anyone reached out to you? Any current players? Are there any guys on the team that you like know as is that you're pumped to reunite with?
So I play with Trent Grisham with San Diego. I play with Tim Hill in San Diego. I play with David Bednar. We were at the alt site together with San Diego. I'm trying to rag my brain right now. Man, I feel bad if I'm going to leave anybody. But,
I think I saw something that you and Wells go back somehow. No?
Oh yeah, that's who I was trying. So me and Wells, we played amateur together. So like we were roommates at the Perfect Game All-American game. So I play with him a bunch.
Okay, you got any good stories? What was he like back in the day?
Dude, it's crazy to think about. That was literally like 8 years ago. So it's like, I don't even remember anything 8 years ago. It's so crazy.
I hear you. That's got to be nice, though, being able to go in and be like, I have a report already with not only a couple guys on the pitching staff, but like the starting catcher or someone that, I don't have to do this whole awkward, like just meeting each other phase. Like, you've got a nice balance of bullpen guys. Trent, like you said, like, it also must be nice now that getting traded, because you got traded in the middle of the season last time, and I'm sure that's just a crazy, like, pack your bags and get the hell over there. In the offseason, I'm sure it's a little more like take a deep breath, figure things out.
For sure.
The fact that you could even hop on a call with me a couple days later, if it was in the middle of the season, I don't know that we would be able to do this.
For sure.
But I appreciate it. Have you decided yet what number you're going to wear?
Dude, whatever they throw in my locker, I'll wear. I don't care. Just whatever they put in my locker.
You're really perfect. Like, Yankees fans kind of love like a guy from the South that's just like, hey man, like I'm just here to ball out and go, your dad called you like a blue collar worker. Just like, there is something, I think a lot of people that aren't from New York think that like, in order to make it in New York, like you said, there's the billboards and the flashiness and all that. But like, Yankees fans really love a dude like Tim Hill, like a dude that's kind of just like a lunch pail guy, first guy in, last guy out. Like, I don't need to be the biggest star in the room, but I want to just show up and get the job done. And you definitely give me those vibes. Is there anything else that you want Yankees fans, I guess, to like know about you? How would you introduce yourself to the fan base?
I mean, my job is take the ball whenever they give it to me. Give the best effort I can give. I know I'm not going to win every single ball game, but I'm going to try to win every single ball game I'm in. And man, I'm just excited to get started. This is, like I keep saying, it's a high honor. I mean, it's the most storied franchise in all sports. So I just can't wait to put the uni on and take the field at Yankee Stadium.
Awesome. Yeah. Oh, let's talk about your dad a little bit more, because I'm sure that's something you got asked about earlier today. But that's such a cool story. The fact that your dad also got traded from the Marlins to the Yankees 30 years ago, and now it happens too. Like, your dad's somebody who, kind of bounced around a lot in his big league career, like wore a lot of uniforms over the course of a decade plus, I think close to 2 decades. And now you're also somebody that's, bounced around the league a little bit, gotten a sense of how different clubhouses work. What has he told you about how being a Yankee is different than other organizations?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just like, there's a reason why there's not last names on the jerseys, like with this team. Like, you're playing for that logo on your chest. Like, um, I just remember like when I came there with the Marlins in '24, and like you walk in, you see like a mural of Steinbrenner. You go out to center field, and like you have like all the memorials, and it's just like, dude, I mean, it's Babe Ruth, Mickey Mantle. Like you just rolling through all these names, and it's like, holy cow, like, dude, this is unbelievable. He just told me like, soak it in, man. Like you got one opportunity with this, and this is a really good opportunity. Just soak it in. I mean, dude, there's not a lot of people that can say that they're going to get to hopefully I stay healthy and I get to play for the Yankees. Like, it's going to be sick.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love guys because I think a lot of people kind of try to have the mindset of just like, hey man, I'm just gonna be me, like I'm just gonna do my thing, and you definitely need that a little bit. But Yankees fans appreciate it a little extra when someone's like, hey, this is pretty sick. Like this is Yankee Stadium,
Yeah,
people.
I mean, like I'm still a fan. Like, I mean, I'm gonna get to be in the locker room with some of these guys. Like, I'm still a fan. Like, it's just cool. Like, I mean, it's the Yankees. Like, it's just cool.
Yeah, I always appreciate when guys that are big leaguers still kind of listen to that like little kid in them that's like, oh my God, like these players,
For
like I get
sure.
to play alongside them. Are there guys in your big league career that you've come across, maybe have dug in against you in the batter's box, or you've matched up with them that you've been like, holy crap, I remember watching you when I was like 10, 12 years old and now we're sharing a field together?
For sure. I faced Joey Votto in 2021, and that was pretty nuts. I'm like, this is pretty cool. I mean, I faced Judge in 24. That was awesome. I mean, he steps in the box, and you're like, I really don't want to throw whatever pitch he's thinking. I mean, he's huge in the box, and obviously, like he also has the stats to prove why he's one of the best players. Um, I'm trying to think. I mean, I my rookie year, I faced the Dodgers like my first three, like two or three outings, and it's like I'm facing Mookie Betts and Corey Seager. Like it was so cool. But at the end of the day, like you finally get to your brain where you're just like it's like they put their pants on the same way I do. Like now it's just about getting in that strike zone and getting them out.
Yeah, you have a pretty cool distinction. You touched on this a little bit. You were the sixth player in MLB history to make his debut in the playoffs. And you did it in the middle of COVID craziness and everything that went into that. And against like one of the most ridiculous just lineups and just players like assemblies of talent that we've ever seen in the big leagues. So talk to me about what that experience was like for you.
Oh, I mean, it's crazy. Like, I was going to do my COVID test the next morning. Like, we were spitting in the tubes or whatever, and our GM was down there, and he's like, "Hey, like, you want to come to the field like a little later today? Because we were in the minor leagues. We were there, like, we're there at the crack of dawn, like making sure we get everything in before the big leaguers get there." And I was like, "What are you talking about? I'm like, why would I go in later? I'm gonna go with all my boys at like 8 a.m." And he's like, "Oh, we're putting you on the roster." I'm
Wow.
like the big league roster, like, and it was so crazy and it was so cool. It was fun. I had so many guys down there that helped me. Pierce Johnson, Emilio Pagan, Craig Stammen. There's so many guys that helped me with that, but like my leg was shaking the whole time I was pitching. Like it was like, this is crazy.
And then the next year when it's like there's actually fans in the stands, that's got to be like, oh, this is pretty cool. Like there's fans here. I think it was
Dude, I couldn't even tell that there were no fans at the division series. I was like, I'm blacking out. Like there could have been fans there, no fans. Like it was insane.
That's awesome. I want to talk to you a little bit about having been a swingman in the past and being able to start a game or come out of the bullpen because we talk a lot about how pitchers are creatures of habit and especially I think every baseball player, but especially pitchers are like, I need to know, I start my bullpen at the same time. I eat my meal before the game at the same time. I have, going to the tub, whatever it is. It's got to be tough to be able to kind of adapt to both of those mindsets. Why do you think that's something that you've been able to kind of pick up and like, kind of roll with the punches with?
I think it's like the distinction like more comes from like if you want me to start, I'll start, and then like if you want me to be a swingman, like and I come out of the bullpen, like I think it's more like I just want to know what my job is so I can nail down what my routine is. Because you're right, we like whether like any team, any pitching group, like every single player has whatever their routine is. So I just want to be able to like get my routine in, even if I'm in the bullpen. I still that day, like before leading up to the game, want to be able to like, whether it's getting my prep work in, my lift in, like just to be able to like be able to perform whenever they want to hand me the ball.
Yeah, no, I totally hear it. Did that take more time to develop over the years? Like the first times when people were telling you like, "Hey, we might need you out of the bullpen tonight, but you're used to being a starter." Was that something that you're like, "Oh crap, like I don't really know how this works." Was that a skill that took time to
I
develop?
mean, like the bullpen, like it's a fireman drill. Like you got to be ready. Like it's real deal. But like I had so many guys in San Diego like help me. You know, the bulk of my right relief appearances were actually all of them were with San Diego. But we had so many good veterans there that helped me like learn. And like I was still like a young dumb rookie. Like I was 21 years old. Like I was probably just so stupid and dumb. But you know, it, even those like 15 appearances, like I at least have a sense of if that's asked of me to do that, like I at least have a sense of like being able to do that.
Yeah, how have you changed just as a whole, as a pitcher and as a person over the years? Because you've like, I guess it's only been 5 or however many years now, but you've seen some stuff at this point. Like, there's not a lot of guys that get traded twice within their first 5 years of being in the big leagues. And you went through the COVID craziness. You played a bunch of different roles. Like, when you look back at where you were then and where you are now, what are the biggest ways that you think you've changed that people might not even realize?
I mean, honestly, just purely like self confidence. Like this, when you're out there pitching, man, you're on an island, and when things are going wrong, like you're the only person that can bring yourself out of it. There's not a coach, there's not another player. Like you have to bring yourself out of it. So like I'm like thankful every day that I went through all of those tough times with San Diego, and like I mean, dude, it carries a lot. Like I was there, you know, I was one of their high picks, like in one of their drafts, and like you're not really panning out. Like it's a tough, you know, pride pill to swallow. It's like, yeah, I wasn't good, but so what? Like it does. Like that's why there's 29 other teams, and like there's something that one team might see in you that you never saw. And you know that's what the Marlins gave me that opportunity. They saw that I was just a mental tweak away from being able to perform at this level. And like, you know, I just want to stay healthy so I can continue to learn at this level and perform at this level.
Is there like a specific moment you can think of or a specific person that it's like, as soon as that guy said to me, things kind of clicked a little bit?
Dude, when Mel Stottlemyre in 2024 sat me down in that office
Yeah.
and we were doing my game report, and I pitched against the Nationals, and the first couple innings were really well, and we hit a grand like Jazz hit a grand slam. Oh, I forgot Jazz. Jazz hit a grand slam, and I kind of let my foot off the gas a little bit, and that is not my personality at all. Well, I mean, dude, it doesn't matter what team you're facing. It's a big league lineup. They're getting paid to hit off me, and I let off the gas pedal just enough, and next thing I know, the game it's a 1 run ball game, and then you're just kind of sitting back. You're like, how did I let that snowball? And then that next morning, we were going over my game report, and that's when he sat me down. He's like, he closed the pitching report and was like, you need to learn how to get in the strike zone. And I was like, you're right. I do need to learn how to get in the strike zone. And you know, he took TrackMan away from me. Like it was like I went to the bullpen, and it was you're going to throw as many strikes as you can throw. And that taught me like I have to trust my stuff over the heart of the plate because you can't get to strike 3 if you don't get strike 1 and strike 2. So you know that was definitely the moment. I remember I can't remember it was sometime in May and after the Nationals, and he sat me down and told me that, and I was like, all right, this is where I got to learn to swallow my pride, and I got to work my tail off.
Yeah, that's interesting that he kind of told you, like, put the tech away and just be a pitcher right now. Because I feel like with all the tech and data that pitchers have right now, on the one hand, it's great, right? That it's like I have more information to base my decisions off of than any pitcher has ever had in Major League history before. And there's so many upsides that come with that. But I'm sure it could also be intimidating, and I'm sure there's definitely times where guys are providing you information that is super helpful, and there's probably times also where it's like, this is a little bit too much right now, and I kind of need to just go out there and be on the field. So how's that something that you balance? Has that, have you like tinkered with that at all over the years?
For sure. I mean, so initially, like, so my first couple years in pro ball, we had Rapsodo. So that was the thing that was halfway to the plate. Like, I had zero idea how to read anything of it. And including my rookie year, like in 2021, that was when we started primarily using TrackMan. Like, I still had zero idea how to read it, no clue what I was looking at. And then when I got my TrackMan in offseason of 23, like now I love numbers. Like I could sit there and look at numbers all day. Like it's crazy how my mind switched. And like you just like the more you like learn how to pitch with the technology, you start just like I look at one number, I look at my tilt. So you just got to think about it on the clock. I know if I'm throwing my changeup at 9 o'clock, so I'm here, it's going to be one of my best changeups. If I'm getting it below 9 o'clock, I'm going to have a depthy changeup. It was the same thing in my fastball. If I'm getting that 10:45 to 11:15 area, it's going to be a good bullet. It's going to be a good bullet. So you just start picking apart and looking at just certain things, and I wish on the scoreboards at every stadium I could just see tilt, and I know where my hand's at when I'm pitching. Because you want to throw your best bullets, and when you can start figuring that out, and then that's kind of how I found my changeup. I just popped one, and my tilt was 8:45, and then ever since then I've been throwing a split change that's in the -1 to 2 vert range, and it's been really good. So you just have to adapt. Now the game is, there's still old school parts of pitching. Like you got to pitch at the knees, you got to pitch at the top, you got to move it in, you got to move it out. There's still quadrants you got to pitch to. But where the TrackMan and stuff's really beneficial is we can create an arsenal for to make off your best pitch. So, with my four seam, a changeup was going to really benefit my arsenal if I could ever figure one out. And we figured a changeup out, and it's really helped me. And now hopefully I can throw my breaking ball more and just gain more confidence with it. And, that's a big thing is I have to trust it. You have to trust your stuff. And, I just want to start continuing. In bullpens, I'm throwing really good breaking balls. Well, we got to do that in the game so I can gain that trust in that pitch where – there's going to be a time at some point this year, it's going to be a 3-2 count, and I don't want to throw a breaking ball, and that's the pitch, and I have to throw the breaking ball. So, yeah, that's where, pitching is there's still a lot of old school, but a lot of the new school stuff really helps you as a pitcher.
That was awesome, dude. I feel like everybody's really going to appreciate you going into so much depth on that. I appreciate it. Is that the type of thing that you can talk to your dad about? Or when you talk to him about all the data and pitching now, does it sound like Chinese to him?
When we first got TrackMan, he was dead against it. He's like, I want to do eye test. I want to see your mechanics. I'm like, look, I get all that. But we got a cool piece of technology that can help with all that. And so at first I had to give him terms. He didn't know what vertical break meant. I'm like, all right, you see vertical break? What would you say if somebody had a fastball that got on you? And he's like, it's jumping. I'm like, okay, when the IVB is high, it's jumping. That, I'm going to give you terminology. I'm like, when you see horizontal, it's just side to side. And, he's like, if I send him a TrackMan report now, he's like, dude, good vert on your changeup today. And I'm like, I knew you would eventually get into it. So he's like, I would have done anything to have this when I was pitching. I'm like, that's what I'm trying to tell you. This is good information to have.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think that's something that a lot of people who are kind of whether they want to call themselves anti-analytics or not, don't like all the data and technology. I think that's one thing they don't really understand is these aren't new concepts. These are the same exact things. People talk about that a lot with offense, and it's a lot of the modern day hitting analytics. If you go back and look at the way Ted Williams talked about hitting in the 1940s, it's the same exact thing as we have now. It was just that era's version of exit velo and whatever metrics they had for plate discipline.
It's also too. It's all 30 teams can tell you hey, you have a good carry fastball. But if you can't get it to the bottom of the zone at some point during the game, how good is it going to be at the top? If every hitter in the big leagues is really good, how if you can't get it at the bottom, how are you going to be able to get them to sniff it at the top? You know what I'm saying? And so it's that's where the old school comes into play. Is at some point you still have to establish the outer half, and then you still have to establish the inner half. So that's now you can just create and now we have iPads, so you can watch just how the hitter can watch how we pitch them. We can watch how we pitch them. And you start picking up on tendencies and picking up on stuff. And I can get into numbers. I love True Media. I love TrackMan. I love Baseball Savant. I love looking at those numbers because when you're at this level, it's a true cat and mouse game. Now I'm starting to even though I've been hurt for a year and a half, I've faced a lot of these guys several times. Well, just I'm getting a book on them, they're getting a book on me. And now they have machines that traject that have my exact mechanics and exact metrics, and they're taking ABs off of me the whole day. So it's if you're not coming in prepared for your outing and you're bringing a knife to a gunfight, how's that going to go for you? It's not going to work. So it's that's where now you have to use numbers to your advantage, and you have to use heat maps and where pitches work certain pitches work well on guys, and you have to be prepared. And that's what I love to take pride in is it's a preparation game. I want to be when I step on the mound, I want to be the most prepared guy on the field because I'm going to battle and I want to be prepared for anything that happens. Now I'll have a scouting report. That doesn't determine how I'm going to pitch during the game. It just gives me a good outline for I know where a guy might scuffle. I know where I got spots to go. And, once you get in the game, it's all about reading swings and reading foul balls and reading everything because a take means something. When they're taking something, that take meant something. So it's like that, and that's where I hope my brain continues to develop within pitching is because it's really fun when you're starting to you see that guy out over the plate and now we go in and you freeze him. It's just like the most satisfying thing is when you're starting to pick apart an AB, and that's why I love pitching is it's a true art and it's so much fun to dive into those numbers and look at them.
Yeah, I think a lot of people that are maybe like casual baseball fans but not super in depth don't really get that like every single baseball game is just a collection of individual chess matches between the hitter and the pitcher, and
For sure.
whoever can win more chess matches is going to come out on top. Who are your favorite pitchers in the big leagues to talk to about this type of thing? Because it's very clear that you're like super passionate about it.
Joe Musgrove was really, really good with scouting reports. Michael Waka was really good with scouting reports. Seth Lugo, Darvish was good with them. When I was in Miami, Sandy is good with them. Cabrera is good with them. And it's you really start just learning, and then you watch them pitch in the game and you're like, man, it just feels like they knew where to go there. And it's well, why did they know how to get there? And then you just go strike up a conversation with them, how did you know, in this situation to go there? And then, the biggest tool is, just go back and rewatch your game film, good or bad. Go watch your game film. There's some pitches that you throw, was it a bad pitch? No, but it was the wrong pitch in the wrong spot because of X, Y, Z. This guy's out front, and then you go to another pitch out front, and then he doesn't take a good swing, but you let him off the hook because you leave a pitch in that area he's looking at, and he just flicks it to right center. Where it's where if we go somewhere else and then get back to it, now it's an out. And it's so you just kind of start just watching games, and then the biggest tool is just watching the game. Is when I'm going to watch Fried and hopefully Rodon pitch this year, especially as lefties, watch the game, watch how they pitch guys, pick up on tendencies and pick up this guy really scuffles with that. I'm not going to throw a Max Fried curveball, but I'm going to see how they react to Fried's changeup because I know that I'm going to throw a lot of changeups. So it's I'm going to watch that, Rodon's heater. I'm going to watch where he pitches with his heater and why he's so effective with his fastball in the zone. So the biggest tool is just watching the games and when we're pitching, I want to be attentive and watch the game because it's important. Every pitch, even when those guys pitch, it means something.
What about hitters? When you're having conversations with hitters about their kind of side of the chess match and the mental battle, are there certain specific things, specific questions that you always ask, or are there specific hitters that you're ooh, when I talked to that guy, he gave me an insight that really changed the way I would have thought about it?
When we throw live BPs and stuff, that's kind of when we we really see a lot of that's when we kind of more have conversations. And it's more dude, I didn't know that you hid the ball that well. And it's okay, now you go into outings knowing that I'm hiding the ball really well in my body, and now all of a sudden they're seeing it when it's coming past my face. Well, that's a part of pitching is deception. Honestly, that's one of the bigger things about pitching is deception. And other than just having pure stuff like Fried and Cole and Rodon, they just have pure God-given stuff. You know what I'm saying? And it's then you combo that with their pitch ability and their knowledge and their deception. That's why they make what they're making is because that's why they're really good, and that's why they're fun to watch. I'm a fan. I cannot wait to be sitting in the Yankees dugout watching these guys toss the rock.
Yeah, that's awesome. I know I already said it, but I really appreciate that when you can talk to players that you can tell they're still fans of the game, because there's so many guys that get to the big leagues and I don't even blame them. I totally get it, that are kind of just I got to be stone-faced. I got to be professional. I'm here to do my job. I can't be fanboying out or anything like that. But you can appreciate things and you can recognize how cool it is what you're doing without being a fanboy.
Well, and you have to go to the field, you get to do this for a job, and you want to make the game fun, and you don't want to make it, just monotonous. I'm just going to the field today because, No, like we're getting to play the greatest game on earth at the highest level, and like it's fun. Like you like that's what like with the Marlins, like we had a really good job of like all the guys were really close together, and like it makes your job so much fun when you like are loose at the field and having fun and cracking jokes like and playing cards, playing ping pong. Like it's your family for 8 months out of the year. Um, so that's where baseball can be really fun and really exciting.
Let's get into that a little more. I want people to know more about Ryan Weathers, the person. Like, what's your deal off season or off day during the season? What type of things you're doing in your free
I
time?
mean,
Tell me about you.
if the weather's good, I'm gonna be on the golf course. If I'm not pitching the next day, I'm gonna be on the golf course somewhere. But I love playing video games. I have a baby boy being born in April, and I'm super excited.
Congrats,
about that.
dude!
Yeah, I'm super excited about that. I can't wait to have little man running around, and so I love being I love being around my family. I love playing video games. I love golf. Playing cards, playing whatever, like hanging out with the boys. Like I'll really just do whatever.
It's so funny to me that every baseball player always says golf. Without fail, that is like the go-to sport. Why do you think that
I would do anything just to be disgusting at golf because there's nothing more satisfying than watching like a really good golfer just dice up like a course. And it's like, why can I not do that? Like, this is unbelievable.
Why do you think it is that baseball and golf is such a strong correlation?
Well, I like it because golf is like a really good mental game because it's like, you shank one off the tee and it's like, are you going to crumble and snap your club or are you going to try to scramble and save the hole? So it's just fun. Like it's also like a fun like little icebreaker. Like go play golf, like cracking jokes, like cracking fun at somebody for missing a putt, like whatever like that. It's just a good release because it's just like you're just going relaxing. Most time, like some of the courses we play, it's so gorgeous. Like the courses are so beautiful, and it's just like a good escape from like a baseball field for 12 hours, 6 to 12 hours, and it's I think that's why it's fun.
Is that something you're going to miss a little bit about Florida now that you're in New York?
Definitely in Jupiter. Like Jupiter's golf was like top tier, so like I had a lot of golf set up. So I was like, but I'll take going to the Yankees. That's a good excuse to not have to play any of that golf.
It's a good trade-off. Yeah, I guess that is interesting. You've played in like warm climates. At least your whole big league career. I don't know about minors in college and all that. Is there anything about pitching, whether it's cold weather or specifically New York, that you think is going to be different?
The coldest I've pitched in Fort Wayne, Indiana, my first full season, and that was a different cold. That was that Midwest, like bitter cold. I think the biggest thing is like your prep work has to be attentive and you have to be hot at all times. Because if you're not going out there like prepared and like warm and ready to go, because like once you start pitching, like you get warm. Like honestly, the pitcher is probably the warmest guy out there, just because you're like so much adrenaline, so much you're actually hot out there sometimes. But it's just prep work. Like make sure you're hot and ready. Don't like when you're in the dugout, like don't cool off too much. Like just make sure you're moving around. Because I would say cold is just like you just get tight. You can get tight so quick, like when you're cold.
Yeah, New York gets pretty hot and disgusting during the summer, so I would say don't worry. Just wait until like June, and then you'll be good. Is there anything else specifically about New York City? I don't know if it's like sightseeing or restaurants or sports teams or anything that you were like, damn, that's going to be pretty cool to get to do that.
Dude, I've been having like I don't know what pizza company it is, but it's like some pizza thing in Brooklyn. It's like crispy pizza, and dude, I will be going to crispy pizza in Brooklyn when I get a chance to.
Nice, yeah. I feel like that's a classic one that anytime I'm scrolling through Yankees players on Instagram stories on the off day during the season, it's like, yep, another pizza place. You just work some ad deal with some place, and they'll hook you up, and I'm not worried about it. Wow, this has been awesome, dude. Are there specific people on the Yankees that you're like really looking forward to speaking to that, like we talked about the stars and all that stuff, but people in baseball that you've always been like, damn, like I've heard that guy's a great dude, but I've just never gotten a chance to play with him?
Mm-hmm. I mean, like I'm like looking forward to like picking like Fried and Rodon's brain. Like, I haven't really like, I had Luzardo Luzardo really helped me like even last year, like the middle of the year, like Luzardo's helping me with my breaking ball and stuff like that. Like just thought process of like, because he does a really good job of getting into that bottom tier. And it's like, what is your thought process on getting it to that spot? and like him helping with that, well, like, dude, like I'm getting to like hopefully pick the brains of like Rodon and Freed. Like, dude, they're disgusting. Like, just give me like a little bit of knowledge, like just something. Like, but like I'm looking forward to really talking to like the pitching staff and some of those guys, like Garrett Cole. Like, it's really cool that I'm even thought of in the same rotation as one of those guys, or pitching staff in general. So it's going to be really cool.
Yeah, I guess that is interesting. That's a good point, that especially when you're a lefty, the lefties are the guys that you're going to seek out for advice. Like, are there certain types of things that it's like, if a righty says that to me, like, I appreciate he's saying it, but that's just not helpful? Or what other type of things that you actually can talk with a righty about?
I would say with righties, mostly it's like, just pure mechanics or thought process. Cause you're right. Like, well, I would just like, if a righty's like, well, I would just throw a breaking ball down away. Well, buddy, I can't throw a breaking ball down away to this guy. Like, so like when you talk to like other lefties, that's more like game planning. Like that's why you like watch them. That would be more of the game planning. Like, why are you going to this area? Like I'm not gonna be able to throw Freed's like a little cut fastball, but like I can, like me and Rodon, like at least have like a little bit more run, like carry run. So like I can watch how his fastball operates, but I can watch mine and Freed's changeups are a little bit similar. So like he has a little bit more run on his, like in depth. He has a little bit more run. Mine's a little bit more like split action, like down. But it's so similar that I can watch how his changeup operates in the zone and like to certain teams and certain guys. So it'll be cool.
Yeah, people also talk about lefty pitchers at Yankee Stadium specifically, that like Rodon was a guy who it took him a little time to learn that when you've got the short right field porch, like that high and inside fastball that you were able to get away with when you were pitching in San Francisco, not really going to cut it in New York, because a hitter can, get 75% of that pitch instead of 100% of it, and it's still going to get out. So I wonder, is that something that you think is going to be like a learning curve at all, just pitching to the dimensions of a unique new ballpark?
I think like you still have to like pitch to your strengths, and like at some point during the season, I'm gonna get bit by that for sure, and I just have to know that in my brain going in. But let's just make sure it's not with 2 runners on base or 3 runners on base. Like maybe now if we go in, like put emphasis on establishing inner half, like in off for effect. Just for that exact reason, I don't want them to block a good pitch to right field, and it hits the short porch. But I think like I pitched in the PCL, so when you start thinking about like, oh, like the ball carries here or the fences are short, like I pitched in El Paso, that was my home ballpark. Like the wind blows out every single day in Texas, and the air is so dry, and like I went through that, like thinking about that, and like you think about that, it just takes your mind out of the game on the mound. So it's like, I'm just going into it knowing at some point it's going to bite me. But like if I go in thinking about that, like it's going to hurt me more thinking about that than if I just pitch to my strengths.
Yeah, I gotcha. Dude, this has been super awesome. You've got a pregnant wife to look after. You've probably got New York moving stuff to figure out, so I don't want to keep you too long. Is there any last message you want to leave Yankee fans with?
I'm just excited to put the pinstripes on. I can't wait to get going.
You got it down pat, dude. You're already all saying all the right things. Ryan Weathers, you're the absolute man, dude. Pumped to see you out there donning the pinstripes, dude. Really appreciate you giving me the time.
Yeah, appreciate y'all. Thank you.